Hey everyone, welcome to another one of Raisley's webinars. It's great that you could join us. If you're new to Raisley, if you're new to webinars with Raisley, let me say a big welcome. My name is James. I do a bunch of stuff in regards to Raisley. At the core of it, I'm Raisley's Enablement Manager, which means I do a whole bunch of things like education, Raisley onboarding, also looking after a Built by Raisley service as well. So that's a little bit about me, but I would love to know about you. If you're new to this webinar, if you're new to Raisley, why don't you duck on over, use the chat function and let us know that you're here. In that chat as well, one of the things you can do very, very quickly is let us know whether or not my microphone is working. So if you are in this webinar, and if you're logged on in and you cannot hear me, and you feel like you're the best, thank you so much for jumping in and being like, great, all things are working. Hey, Kate, great to have you. Hey, Joe. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Bryony. Hey, Virginia. This is great. I love seeing people come into the chat. It's really, really great. We've got a lot of registrants today, almost 1,000 people signing up for this. So we are looking forward to some good things and diving in on our topic today. But again, really, really welcome. Again, my name is James. I do a whole bunch of stuff with Raisley, largely around the core of our focus as what also is our webinars, is that we want to help people and enable people to be amazing on the Raiser platform so they can be incredible fundraisers as well. So we really love doing these content pieces. We love pushing them out because it really sees great fruit on your space where we're seeing the impact that you're driving through your organization grow and grow and grow. So thanks for joining. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff today that will be really good. Thanks. Hope we keep on using the chat. Please interact there. A couple of things about our webinars. We do sort of try to keep it to a tight time frame. The goal today is 45 minutes. I always overtalk, but we'll see how we go. So we'll keep it to 45 minutes. There is time for questions. So if you do have a question during our session today, please utilize the chat function. It's there for you. Utilize it. I'll be turning to it a few times over our time. So I can answer some of the more pertinent questions that are there. And always do know, if you have any follow-up questions later on after this webinar as thoughts have sort of been going through your head, then please duck on over to support@raisley.com and feel free to ask our support team any of those things. We will also publish this website, this webinar, not this website. We do that all the time. We'll publish this webinar over to our YouTube channel as well. So if you cannot make it all, I'd love it if you would stay, but we will be posting this up on our YouTube channel so you can be following that up as well. Our YouTube channel is also a wonderful place to put comments or more questions in regards to our webinar. So don't hesitate to duck into that recording on our YouTube channel, write in some comments, and we'll be sure to get back to you on that as well. Now, one of the things that we always want to make sure with any of our meetings that we do in Raisley is acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we come from. I'm on the land of the Awabakal people, and we want to pay our respects to all elders past and present and emerging. Now, in this webinar today, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. And as the title of the webinar was talking about, this is at the core of it around growing your appeals, which for me is a really stock standard space I'm sure that you are really familiar with and you've done a lot of. If you have never done an appeal before, man, this is going to like change your world. But if you have done a few, my hope is that as we go through some things, it's really just going to improve and sort of look at some maybe missed opportunities that you have. But at the core of it, we're looking at growing your appeals within Raisley. Now, what we'll be looking at through this time is sort of up on the screen here. We're still seeing people come on into this chat. This is fantastic. Please utilize that. Let us know you're there. I actually look at it later on to find out who was sort of involved. So please let us know that you are there. It's great to know what organizations you come from. But what we're looking through today is a few little topics that I want to focus on when we look at appeals. The first is I'm going to show you a couple of things that are new in Raisley as well, but we want to look at expanding your reach, guiding by design. And so how does design principles help guide? We want to look at personalization and timely content, which is totally one of my little remits. I love that space. And lastly, but not least, we're going to look at our 1 in 365 opportunity. And this is one we don't see people use enough. And I want to focus on that as we sort of close out in our session as well. Now, a little bit of a precursor to our session is looking at a couple of new things that are in Razely if you have not checked them out yet. First is ticket bundles. If you do use our ticket form, which so many people are using for their peer-to-peer campaigns and interacting that with their sign-up form, or they're creating using our events template and creating some amazing events, say like gala dinner or golf days. You can now use ticket bundles, which means that if you've got 3 tickets and you want to combine them all into one sort of purchase bundle, you totally can. So that is pretty much out. I know it's in beta. I've been playing with it, but its release will be any day now. But you can buzz support at razely.com if you want to try the beta out as well. I've been using it. We've launched it with a live campaign with a really great organisation in New Zealand. And it's going gangbusters. So really, really stoked about that. Other things that you'll be seeing that's in beta at the moment is Razely version 4 release. Now, this is a really exciting space where Razely is looking at updating its basically user experience on the platform. This change is not just the refreshed interface. There's so much more to it. What's more to it is it improves our tech stack. It's going to enable us to develop more apps and integrations. It's going to allow us to do so many cool things. But on your end, it just makes Razely like even more beautiful than it is. And so we're really looking forward to seeing how that comes into your world. And one of my last favorite updates very quickly was there was an update to the DIY fundraising module. I'm not sure if you've used DIY fundraising. This little update now interacting with the sign-up form is great. So do check out some of our features that are coming up, and you can see those in the change log when you log into Razely as well. And do be sure to check your emails as we will push some stuff out there too. That's a little bit what's new in Razely, and I'll let you know a little bit later what's coming in Razely as well. Great to see the chat. Phil has asked the question as we kick it off, can you just send the recording to us when we finish rather than us having to go to YouTube? Yeah, great question, Phil. Yeah, of course we will. We'll make sure that an email does go to you with a link, and that link will take you to the upload on YouTube where you can view it as well. So do watch out for that. Our marketing team will make sure they get that over to you straight away. So a little caveat just to frame what we want to be looking at today. As we said, we're going to be focusing on growing your appeals, which is a real bread and butter space in charities using Razely. But one of the things we want to look at is this concept of focusing on what you can control whilst investing in a few silver bullets. And I just want to put this at the front end because what we're going to be looking at today is really the things that you can simply control in Razely. Most people, when they come into appeals, are looking for a silver bullet. They're looking to go, great, last year we saw a bit of a dip or we want to hit our $1 million appeal campaign goal. And so what we sort of need is something that really is earth-shaking and really changes everything for us. Now, those things don't come around all that much. Silver bullets, when they maybe pop up, are worth investing in. Also, when we look at so much of our campaign investment is in social media advertising. And I think on that sort of space, there is some nice silver bullets to invest in there. But with our webinar, what we want to look at, what we find is often the neglected parts, which is the sort of separation between campaigns that do exceptionally well and campaigns that just do okay, is actually a detailed focus on what you do control. And the things I want to be looking at today are the things in Razely that you can do. You can do today on your campaigns. Even if your campaign is live, you can still do this stuff. But it's things that you can control to make those small improvements. And my big thing on these ones is if you can get those things really just nutted down and a good investment spent on the things that you can control, then you can try some stuff out on the fringes within the other advertising and marketing channel platforms. I just think if what often people try to do, they try to focus on one or two sort of real big things that really nail it for them, and they can just sort of forget the things that they can control and raise that really do make a significant difference. So a little bit of a precursor as we dive on in, but why don't we have a look at the first concept in which we're looking at and how you can grow your appeals. All right, expanding your reach. Now, this is a really interesting concept with appeals. Most of the times we look at expanding your reach with peer-to-peer campaigns. The success of a peer-to-peer campaign is basically enabling an individual fundraiser to create their own landing page that people can donate to, that person actually goes out themselves and they're seeking to reach their network through that. And that at the core is why peer-to-peers are brilliant strategies of expanding your reach. When it comes to appeals, though, appeals in most cases that you're landing on your existing donor base. You're landing on your existing sort of email base and donor base that's there and saying, hey, would you want to give again? Would you like to up your giving? And yes, in most cases, you're always going to have sort of a social media space in which you are pushing advertising out to the mass public. But we want to look at things and strategies that you can control a little bit more that can look at expanding your reach within an appeal campaign. And there's a few little things I want to suggest as we go through this. The first one is, and I'm sure you sort of follow McCrindle Research Group. They are a leading group in Australia that put some wonderful stats up, but they did put something up last year, which is always helpful, and it's no major surprise. And I'm sorry that my face overlaps the last word on this, but that's all right. But one of the things we want to look at is multi-generational reach. And there's a few little things that have come up that we can look at how we can sort of change in Raisley to meet these. The first is that 58% are opportunity givers with 42% as committed givers. And what this is looking at is that there's a massive trend to those who are giving, not because they're loyal to an organization, but because the opportunity looked good. And this correlates with the other stat that they pulled out, that 39% of Gen Z and 56% of Gen Y are giving to established charities versus startups. What this means is that a lot more people are giving to startup concept organizations rather than established charities. And I think pulling these two together, it's the startup sort of concept does very much go hand in hand with opportunity givers. It offers them flexibility, offers them a little bit of agility to sort of move between different organizations, slightly lack of commitment, but not a lack of commitment for generosity. They still want to be generous. The stats are still very high on that end. But it sort of shows us that there are maybe a couple of things that we could look at within Raisley to help this. And the first one I want to suggest when you're looking at your appeals is to create projects. Now, often what we do see when appeals go live, we see a lot of these sort of go through, is that we'll see, here's our annual appeal, here's our progress bar, the goal we want to meet, here's a lot about what we do as an organization, how you can get involved. And that's brilliant. That's really a stock standard concept of appeal that you want to look at. But what we can do is level this up. And one of the major suggestions we look at is break down your appeal into tangible projects that you want to see funded. So let me dive in. I'll give you a little bit of an example of sort of what I'm referring to in this. Let me switch over to here. All right. All I'm done, I'm just sort of repurposing the Raisley appeal template, which is often a bit of a go-to of mine. But as you can see, here's sort of the stock standard that comes with a template, all good and well. But if I scroll down, this is the concept we're looking at. Breaking this donation space down into tangible projects. Now, as you can see, yes, I'm focusing on Pug Rescue just on this one, and there's a bit of a rough and ready space on this, but hopefully it gets the idea out. Is that if we're looking at different projects that break down the appeal, there's all sorts of different methods that you can do to make this visually appealing for people. First off, it gives people choice. Yes, one appeal, but it sort of aligns up with people's choice. And everyone knows that if you go to some restaurants these days, you can sort of give to charities, and what some of the concepts they do, they give you a few charities that you can choose from. That choice is a great concept. But as you can see here, I've got the donate button. It's going to pop up. It's going to show me the donate option available for this particular project. Sure, it goes through the whole thing, but now I'm given a choice, and it's breaking the project down into project spaces, breaking the appeal down into project spaces that I can look at. Now, here's a little quick example of things that you can do. This is just a 3-column structure with some images and stuff, but on each of these columns, I can get a little bit clever using some CSS and sort of block some of these out. I can actually block them out, if you know, based on how far you've gone in percentage wise through your appeal. So what you could even explore is how like each of these kind of spaces kind of unlocks itself as you move on forward as well. So I think this is the thing that we're sort of looking at too, is that if you have the opportunity for an appeal, rather than sort of making it so big and broad, break this down into smaller projects. Even if these are particular ones you want funded, or at least showing people what is going to be funded in there as well. John asked a question. Do John put things into the Q&A? It makes it a little bit easier for me to have a look, but I always understand that donating to a particular project renders a donation unable to be claimed at tax time. Is that correct? That's a great question, Joe. I can follow it up for you, but the concept is what we're looking at. In most cases, all your people look at this in dollar handles. This is what they typically put up here in the dollar handles. Give $50 because it does this kind of impact. I'm saying give that more prominence, break it down into more tangible things that you can be looking at as well. But we can follow that up in regards to the charity space. So that's one suggestion that I'd really encourage you to look at, is breaking things down into projects that is going to help. And then the other thing that I did kind of mention before, if you saw the slide quickly, don't propose on the first date. Now, what do I mean by that? What we see so much of the time, particularly as I oversee Built by Raisley, where we're building stuff for people and for charities, is that people want so much content, like heaps of content in there. And largely it's content around who you are and what you do. But if the stats are pushing back, going, people are more looking for opportunity rather than commitment. They're looking for startup types rather than established. That is really pushing back and saying, hey, copy does matter. Making it more minimal is maybe going to help you with that. Now, one of the really cool little features, I'm not sure you are aware in Raisley, but one of the ways that I would encourage you just to maybe explore and have a look. And if we go into the page builder, pages, homepage here, and I'll get to this in a moment, but say this top row here, if you wanted a campaign that literally just had one row with a donation form, here's a little quick copy, header and footer, and that's it. There's a really cool little feature. If you go into that row setting, go to advanced and go to height. Here you can actually change the vertical height. So if I set this to 100, what this is going to mean is that whenever someone opens this site, this row, let's save that there. And I can now refresh. This row is actually, as you can see, is going to fill in the entire space of my viewport. What this means is you're creating a one-pager, a real impact page. Here's the donate, here's the call to action, here's the quick messaging you need, is that you can use this 100% view, 100% vertical height to go, this is going to capture your whole screen, your whole attention in that. Where this really comes good is on two ends. One, if you make the header transparent, which you can in the header settings. And you can also, on mobile, this works an absolute treat because it fills up the mobile screen. Doesn't matter what size mobile they're using either. So a really, really cool trick if you are looking to create more minimal appeal campaigns, which I'd totally suggest that you look into. And we can probably show you some examples of what they can look like and share those around as well. So totally encourage you to sort of look at that little feature within Raisley. All right. So that is a little bit on multi-gen, on expanding your reach. But the second thing I want to be looking at quickly in reach is referral marketing. Now, referral marketing at the core of it is so important when it comes into appeals and often can get enormously overlooked. Referral marketing is all you guys would know. So this is all the ability for someone to go, I had a great experience. Why don't I get my friend to have a great experience as well and donating? And it takes real strategy to do really good referral marketing strategies. Now, one of the things I would encourage you to look at is these three things really quickly. Firstly, your donation receipt's primary call to action. Capitalize on your donation receipt. Don't let your donation receipt just be a receipt. It shouldn't be a receipt. The receipt can just be the PDF that's attached to it. What the donation receipt should be is, hey, expand the reach, right? Let me push it out. Share this with friends. Share this on Facebook. One of the really cool things that you can be utilizing, let's have a quick squeeze. If I go back into messages, donation receipt, here we are. If you go down to the content on the default space, what you'll see here is these two options here. If you were to consider amplifying a gift by sharing, share this here. Huge encouragement. That is your call to action. I often get people just to remove the stuff that's there and just put this in. But here, there's two options, right? Share on Facebook, share on LinkedIn. Here's two more you can be looking at. First off, email. Use an email generator link called mail2.me, I think it is. But if you just go to Google, type in mail2 space generator, it's going to give you some great little like email generators where you can create a link that contains the subject and all the body copy, so that when someone clicks this, it automatically opens their email client. It automatically pre-fills the email that they're going to send, and all they need to do is put in the people that they want it sent to. Super easy. The other one I really recommend is WhatsApp. If you type in WhatsApp link generator in Google, you get a whole bunch of them. But WhatsApp's a really flexible space where you can create a button link, and that button link can pre-fill so much of what's in WhatsApp when someone opens it. So as soon as someone clicks that button, opens up their WhatsApp, and they have a pre-filled message they only now need to put their contacts into. The whole push of this is, how do I get someone who's had a good experience to then share it with others, not the gloat of like, wow, I'm a great donor, which often is some of the ones I see. It's more in the case of, hey, Jim, would you consider donating as well? Hey, Jenny, would you consider making this your opportunity? I think this is a great organization, which leads me to my second point. It's work with communities. Sorry, my third point, I'll get to the second one in just a moment. Work with communities rather than the masses. In most cases on referral marketing, when we get to share with people, we go on a mass strategy. So share on Facebook to all of your network. Share on LinkedIn to all of your network. Though effective, it does work. Yes, we do find sharing on those social media platforms effective for showing people what you do, because it has automatic reach, and those things are great. But what we're seeing works even better is the concept of getting people to invest in community. This is why I like WhatsApp. Now, I don't use WhatsApp typically. I don't. But the reason I like it is because it pushes people, like, say, Facebook Messenger, into a group space. If you focus a part of your referral marketing strategy on enabling people to actually develop small groups that would go, hey, do you know what? Together we can make an impact. The five of us can make an impact. My immediate family can make an impact. My soccer team could make an impact. Limiting this down rather from the masses to go, hey, let's pull in a group of people that you know and get it to them and do a bit of a call out for it. You're basically kind of creating this team concept of donors. And that's going to be really, really helpful for you. One of the things you can do on top of that, which I really encourage, is you can utilize your UTM tracking for this, but track your referrals so they can be attributed. For example, if you have a campaign link called campaign.com, if you did campaign.com UTM _ source equals, and then whatever the person's maybe name is in the link, right? You can, or the person's email address is in the link. Straight at the back, you can be sending a link in these spaces, say on the WhatsApp message or in the email message, that then when they click the link, creates a referral attribute in their source. So let me show you in Raising kind of what that looks like. When we go to donations, I think I created one earlier. I think it was under this one. Yeah, right. Attribution, ref, James. And that's just by utilizing UTM source within the query string. UTM _ source equals, and then whatever you want sort of that merge field to be. Typically, you maybe make it their full name or their email address. Actually, probably no, don't do their email address. Make sure you do their full name. Don't use anything that sort of privacy space in a URL. But this quick capture of a referral, you can report on, you can follow up, you can deep dive then from your database and go, wow, these people actually got all these referrals from themselves. Maybe that's someone that we can target for regular giving. Maybe that's someone we can target for the next peer-to-peer, or get in that group to do more for you. You can create a whole campaign in Razy just for that group if they were super effective, which is amazing. So really want to encourage you to move hard at looking at what you can sort of do within this, would be my encouragement as well. Barbara, thank you. I'm so sorry that the screen's a little bit blurry. I'm not sure what's happening. I will follow that up to make sure it's a little bit clearer next time. But hopefully you're hearing me sort of go through some stuff as well. All right, so that's referral marketing sort of thing. So expanding your reach, investing in generation space, or maybe missing some opportunities there, and also within referral marketing, be looking there as well. Now, if there's a couple of questions we have here. Kate's put a question: what's the most compelling campaign donation functionality of Razy that makes it more beneficial solution for not-for-profits than some of your competitors? That's a great question, Kate. I'm going to get there. One of them is the donation pop-up form. That's a game changer. Two is the optimized donation form itself by doing regular giving upsells. That's insane, and we're seeing the fruit that comes enormously from that. One of the things I personally love within Razy of looking at sort of compelling functionality that's in Razy that makes it a beneficial solution is that Razy is so flexible for you to be using yourself. One example I'll quickly show you, because I'm going to come back to this in a little bit, but one of the ones is this one. This is from a really cool campaign that we developed for Built by Razy. At the moment, what I'm in the sort of a demo environment of it, but this is a real campaign. I'll explain that in a little bit. But what you can see here is that I can change how the donation form completely looks with some very, very basic CSS. Now, this, if you were to do yourself, you may be paying a developer, you may be working with platforms that just cannot allow you into the back end of adjusting some of the style sheets in this. But what this did for this charity was an absolute game changer. Let me quickly explain. One of the pop-up donation forms, they exist. I'll show you a little bit about it as well. What this enables them to do was that they had one sort of stretch target that they wanted donors to give to. It was $204 that would supply everything in one night of giving, in one night. So what this enabled us to do, sorry, you're making my pug in the background barking. She's not that tough. But what this did for them was if we actually segregated that amount and say, here's the stretch amount that you could go for, but then underneath that, or hey, here's the other thing that you could give to that are sort of made up in that sort of larger piece. What we saw is that visually people were like, I'll go to that one. And we saw so many people go for the stretch target of $204 for an individual donation for this. Insane, largely because we had the flexibility in Razy to be able to do this on a donation form. Real game changer. There's all sorts of other things as well. Intelligent donation amounts option is actually a really good one. I'll get to that in a little bit too. But Katie, there's all sorts of things in Razy that seriously make it an insanely good platform for what you need to be doing. Keen to learn more about sharing methods and tools? Yeah, great. We'll make sure we put some resources up on the YouTube link and maybe in the email as well. What about integrations? Can we use Razy with other business tools? Yeah, absolutely you can. And one of the investments on Razy 4 is us having the ability to make more integrations faster and more efficiently. So Razy is actually working on NXT integration. There's talk around some other sort of CRM integrations as well. The best thing that Razy does though is that has a very easy method, typically via webhooks and an open API to be able to get information out of Razy. So one of the things we're really keen for is not for Razy to be something that sort of holds your data that you can't get it out. You can get it out easily. So thanks, Kate, for those questions. All right, let me dive back in. I want to go through a couple more things as we get in. Next one, guide by design. I'm going to come back to that example in just a moment. But guide by design, a couple of things I want to just mention really quickly that we're seeing underutilized by people when they're launching their appeal campaigns. The first is the donate button. So many people miss this, right? What I want to just encourage you is that good design is clear from distractions, but great design guides you down a path. All right? Great design is there to go, how can I move you somewhere? All right? That's really what you're looking at. So some of the things that are going to aid that, which I really, really love, which we're using all the time. I'll use this example campaign as an example. First off, rather than putting a donation form there, what we've done is we've used this new little block in Raisely in the page builder called donation button. And I'll show you in a sec. But basically what it does, it turns the donation form into a modal. This little modal is highly customized as well, which is really, really cool. So let me take you to the back end to show you what it looks like. If you're using this already, you ripper, like great job. It's just that so many people don't use it. I'm like, why? It's so good. And it's good for one particular reason I'll show you in a moment. But say, for example, I go into blocks. Going to rows. There we go. Blocks. And I'll type in donation. I've now got donation form, and I've also got the donation button. If I select donation button, drag this over, I've got a little button that is now available. Some of the little cool little tips you can do. If I go into the button settings, advanced, attributes, and if I type in buttons, it's going to expand the button straight out, which is kind of rad. So that's one little thing. But in the actual settings, here are the cool things you can do. Display options, single button, or donation amounts. That's kind of neat. Other ones that you can be doing as well is you can change the style of the button to whatever you need it to be. I can change the text that's in there as well. And if you are utilizing this, you do have a few other options saying default frequency. So you can make it a button for regular giving or a button for one time. You can also, if you do utilize this within peer-to-peer campaigns, you can target whether it's the campaign or the profile page that you want to target as well. So it's a really, really flexible little button to use. But the cool part is that's not where it finishes. If you go to settings, donation form, and go to settings, you'll find you've got modal settings available here. First of all, you can change what the logo is that comes up in the modal. You can also adjust the campaign preview. Here I can put in a headline, donate today. I can put in a description. I can attach a photo. I can put fundraising goal. I can put number of donors. There's all sorts of little things that you can be doing in this that just to really make this modal say as much as possible. But the thing is why I love this modal is it minimalizes what you've got on your page by not capturing all the real estate. So when do we use it? We use it on mobile. If you haven't done mobile stylings in Raisely yet, this is an absolute must when it comes to design. Some of the things that we want to be looking at we go into pages. Here, what we can see is a very basic 2-column design. We've got one 2-column row. We've got 1 column here, 1 column here. Just to note, if you put this on mobile, as you can see, everything just stacks itself up. Now, one of the things I do suggest is on this, always use the desktop and use your mobile phone to see the exact representation of that. That would be really good. But as you can see, straight out the bat, it's going to stack itself. Now, that makes a big difference because, say, for example, is if you beef out this copy, if you make lots of this copy, is that someone's going to have to scroll to sort of find more to the real what the primary call to action is that you want them to be taking. So what we can sometimes suggest is if in this button, what we can do, let's move it up. What we can then do is we can go into the button settings and go to advanced. And as we can see, we've got 3 little options here for the devices, and we can make sure it shows on mobile, but we can now hide it off desktop and tablet. If I went down into the donation form, or probably, to be honest, this whole row, this whole column here, because as you can see, it's a column. Let's just go back to the desktop version. All right, as you can see, my button hasn't gone. I'm just going to open that there. What I can then actually do is just go into the row settings, column 2, and I can just remove that off mobile. So if I now save and have a look at the mobile version, this is no longer, actually, let me just turn that off. Great. This is no longer going to appear. All that's going to appear is a donation button. So this is what we're talking about in regards to looking at how your design can guide. And I see most of the time people are doing one or two things. First off, you're not utilizing the donation button. Do it. Every campaign in Built by Raisely that we build for clients uses this donation button for mobile particularly, but for other things as well, just for shortcuts, and rather than sticking the donation form in the bottom, which takes a lot of real estate. So think through mobile, because everything goes to a single column view. So always be thinking around the length of your copy. How quick does it take for someone to get to the call to action as well? But also design influences decisions. And so I'll quickly just come back to this one here. This is a game changer. And it's a game changer because this is relatively easy to do. This is not all that tricky. If you reach out to a support team, would be able to quickly show you how to do this in CSS. It's not that tricky. What it does for you, though, it completely changes how people perceive your donation call to action. What people are now looking at is they're looking at a stretch target, but they're saying, do you know what? I want to be someone who actually donates all of that. I want to be someone who actually gives all of that, and I can do that this year, rather than just giving the one or two ones that are in there as well. So big encouragement is look at how your design can influence someone's decisions. And so really focusing on it. That might be donation form order that you have. There's all sorts of little things that you can get through as well. So anyway, big encouragement on those ones. Guide people by design. Now, Helga has been amazing at answering some of the questions in this chat. Helga, you're the absolute best. Here's one from Jessica. Can you have a donation pop-ups on WordPress sites or just Raisely pages? No, just Raisely pages at the moment. But my encouragement is totally make another page, another campaign in Raisely that looks after your donations. We're moving so many organizations' websites over to Raisely. Raisely won't do everything that WordPress can do. That's totally obvious. But for simple donation spaces, it can be great landing pages. For example, let me show you a really cool site, if I can, and see if you guys can pick the difference. All right. This is a really great site by Cure Kids Red Nose Day. If you go to rednoseday.co.nz, you will see the official Red Nose Day site. This is all built in Raisely. It looks identical to what they've done. It's a really great looking site. It's got some great brand, all built in Raisely with very, very minimal CSS, like very minimal, hardly any, right? We're utilizing all the stuff that's already in Raisely to be able to build this. One of my big recommendations is if you do have a website hosted and built on WordPress or Wix or Webflow or whatever it is, but you're needing a donation page, have the donation page as a campaign in Raisely. Utilize a subdomain, donate.whatever your organization is.com, and make it look identical to what your existing website page is. And we can help you with that, right? There's all this support within Raisely to help you get there. So let us know how we can do that. That way you can manage all of your donations within Raisely, all the platform. It makes life so much easier, and we're seeing so many organizations move over that way as well. So big encouragements to have a look there too. All right, let me get on through this. I always sort of fly through these sort of things, but it's enjoyable. Next one, personalization and timely content. This really is my space. I love this. It's underutilized because it feels super tricky. So I'm going to take you through a couple of things. If I'm sort of knocking it off, I'm so sorry. But we have a lot of people say, hey, can you show us how to use some CSS? Now, what is CSS? If I go into my campaign here and hit that little paintbrush here, I can see all this little stuff in the background. Now, what this little space is, it's an ability for me to change the site's style sheet. Now, this website for Appeal already has a style sheet in the back end. It does, but you have a little space in here which you can make additions to, which is really, really great. And this is where it gets a little bit codey. Now, CSS is just controls styling of different things, but you can do all sorts of things. If you've never dipped your foot in this, we would love you to some point, because this is really where you start upping your game. It is a small little introduction to some sort of coding things, but we have so many clients who want to actually look at this because they can do so much on it. But I want to start off really, 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 really basic. First one, it's if you put this little piece of code in here, show and hide, it's display block, display thing. So let me this is what the code is here. If you paste this into your style sheet in your campaign, it gives you the ability to do something really unique. And what this something is if I go to my next slide, I can then hide and show different rows based on what is in the URL. So let me go back into this campaign here. And as you can see, I've got two different rows. I've got this row, which is the primary row that everyone sees by default. And I've also got this row. Now, what I want to have is I want to have a row that is shown for some people and a row that's shown for other people. And how would I actually control that? Well, if you've got this little piece of code in your campaign, CSS, I could then add this little query string, maybe losing a few of you now, but hold in there, right? Because this is something we want to sort of support and help you with. But if I go to this row settings, advanced, and the attributes, as you can see, I've put it in here. Now, it's a very basic condition. It's basically saying if there's a query in the URL and that query is donated, show the row or hide the row. So the way it works is if I go back into my campaign, and preview my campaign, open up, and you can see this row is there by default. But if I add a question mark, type donated equals true, I get that row. That is purely by changing the URL structure, the URL query in this. Now what I'm doing is I'm giving someone a completely different experience of the same campaign that they're going into. And where this is really helpful is when you want to email people. You want to send them to a different experience. Rather than creating a new campaign, you can create a new row, add a condition in there, and you can give them a completely different experience for it. The reason I recommend learning this is it then opens up a world of flexibility and personalization for you within your campaigns. In regards to a more practical example with this, really what it looks like, it's if you've got an email that says, hey, thank you so much for donating, you're amazing, head to this page to see the impact you've made. Rather than the first thing they hit with is another donation call to us, the first thing they hit with is, here's the impact you've made. Really different, and a really great opportunity for them as well. So big encouragement is to be looking at those also. So that's one little area of personalization I'd love you to lean into. We'll make sure there's some YouTube content on how to do that further as well. But here's another one I want to encourage you to look into too, is make the page talk back. Based on the data that you have, we have a phrase we use all the time. If you have captured it, you can use it. In this kind of space, if you have captured whether people are higher tier or lower tier donors, you can create different donation amounts in the donation form to show for that particular person, again, utilizing up the top that little query. That's because in Raisely, one of the really great things you have is that you can add a class attribute to each of the donation buttons. What that gives you the flexibility to do, let me show you. If I go back into my campaign, I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm pretty sure, what do I call it? Equals, right? I think that is. Let me go back and actually find out, because I cannot remember what I've actually called it, but I'll get there. Query I must be in the following facts, attributes, range. That's what it's called. All right. So if I go back and do range equals high. What I want you to look at is the donation form buttons. Now, all I'm previewing to people is, I'll scroll down so you can actually see it, is now they only have the option of $100, $200, and $500. That's what they have, because what I've put in there is I've got range equals high. If I do low, I've now got 30, 50, and 80. So within Raisely, with a few little updates, it's really quite simple to be able to choreograph different donation amounts based on the URL you have in there. So when you're sending that email out to your mass audience, but you know from your mass audience that these people are regular givers and these people aren't regular givers, these people have given this much historically and these people have given this much historically, you can then be pitching the different dollar amounts around that. The other thing I do love about it is it also allows you to do some A/B testing if you want. You can send it to a small group in your database to start with. It could go out and you could have two versions of it. You have one version that shows some amounts, another version that shows another amounts, and you can sort of see what's working for that small before you go mass. These kind of features within Raisely are just game changers when you are looking to just really start personalizing it down and getting more specific on what you're utilizing as well. So really, really big encouragement. So yeah, have a squeeze of what this looks like. We'll make sure there's resources available for you so you can start testing this, trying it out, and getting used to it when you actually do this as well. Yes, I'll talk about, Craig, I'll talk about smarter and intelligent donation amounts in just a moment. So that thanks for the quick heads up. But let me get through. Here's some other maybe suggestions in regards to your appeal pages that we don't see people utilize all the time. One of the things I've sort of asked for, it's looking at the concept of there are times in your campaign that you can change what the site looks like. The reason we do something like this, as I said, the goal here is, was it personalization and timely content is what I've called it. Timely content is looking at what are the moments within the campaign that I can actually adjust the content that's in there to enable people to keep moving with the momentum of the campaign with me. Again, this is very underutilized and it makes a huge difference if you can do it. So here are some examples of things that you can maybe try. Firstly, partners and match partners start with their progress. One of the things we often see within campaigns is that you put the donation amount up there and also a progress bar. And when you launch it, that number is 0. Big encouragement. We saw a great healthcare space down in South Australia do this, where they found a match partner. That match partner was going to give them $100,000 toward the campaign. So what's the very first thing they did before they launched the campaign? They made an offline donation of $100,000 into that campaign so that when they launched on the site already showed enormous progress. The goal was huge. It wasn't $100,000. It was a lot more than that. But it showed already that there was progress and wins on the board. That is a really important thing to getting people sort of start engaging with that as well. Other one is change your stories. Have a few up your sleeve. Often what we see is we see people put all their stories in one hit on the appeal pages. Don't. If you've got 3 stories, use one at the beginning, use one halfway through your campaign, use one toward the end of your campaign, just to make give your space, yourself some space for that. For project-based appeals, which is what I was talking about earlier, release pre-recorded impact stories. So once a project has actually been met and funded somewhat, so if you have 3 projects and one needs to be funded at $1,000 and that $1,000 is met, then release an impact story on what it means for that project now to go ahead. Like, that's huge for someone to go, wow, these guys are actually really effective. But if you've pre-recorded these impact stories and you're putting them out there, it's a really, really great way just to motivate people to keep going and keep doing more because they're seeing impact within the site directly. Otherwise, advertise linked events, look at peer-to-peer and peer-to-peer, upcoming peer-to-peers and events, and put those linked events in there. Sometimes people's opportunities is not going to be an appeal, but they may really want to do an event with you. So make those there. Show progress bar and stream, creating experience stages. Just be wary where you put when you put in the progress bar and when you put in the stream. All right. My encouragement is don't do it at the very beginning. I'd say it's way better to hide it, leave for a little bit later, and then show it. Only because it's just a little bit demotivating for people. A lot of people do this with signups within peer-to-peer campaigns. They put like the sign-up counter there, and then when someone goes to the site, the sign-up counter is like 1 person. It's just a little bit flattening because you can't see the reach that this organization is going out to. You don't know that. All you know is your experience. So a big encouragement is look at how to sort of just drip feed content, slow feed content. I have a pug, which she's a slow feed, all right? We don't want her to eat everything at once. Slow feed things around there. And also look at embed video content. Keep people updated about that. Video content is super easy to do these days. And so a big encouragement is just create some content, whether you've uploaded that to TikTok or your YouTube channels, and utilize that on your site, embed it on your site. Have it there. Video content always takes priority. People will watch your video content. It's a great motivator for them to be looking at as well. Thanks, Becky, for the encouragement. We always love you joining us, so don't stop. There's also so many questions in this. Some info here on embedding Wix. Yep, you can look at those. Raisely does seek to make it very easy to utilize with other platforms by making the things in Raisely very open. And that's one of the things I love about the platform that makes it very, very unique. So I want to pause for a second because I've been talking my head off with all sorts of things. And we'll just do a super quick recap before I go to the last one as well. Expand your reach. Big investment there is look into referral marketing and create project-based appeals that are going to hit the Gen Z market. Guide by design, look at the donation button. There's some really great stuff in there that I would love you to be utilizing for your next campaign. Create those little modals and look at how you can maybe choreograph the look and feel of your donation form to make that, and we can still support you there. Personalization, skill up in the space of putting a little bit of CSS in there and using some conditionals in your attributes in order to create different variants of rows that you can then control by the URL link. That is just insanely good once you get the hang of it. So big encouragement there. And put time in content. Structure your content around. Don't feel you need to put all of it at the same time. Think through how are we slow feeding our content through here as well. Just going to pause for a sec. Why don't I show you a couple of cool campaigns that have been built recently on built by Raisely. This may just give you some encouragement in sort of lighter, harder space to sort of see some cool campaigns that are now out and about as well. And you see, this is Pirate Day. This is a great, great campaign that was launched by the Kids Cancer Project, which are an insanely great charity, the Kids Cancer Project, based in Australia, in Sydney. So really, really cool. They've got a really fun brand to work with as well. So a really great campaign you can kind of see there. As I said before, Cure Kids have come to Raisely to look to build out a schools campaign and also an influencer campaign for them too. And we're really, really taking some really sort of fun things here with little sign-up forms, and there's some really great resources and really great clean-looking site, which I'm super enjoying as well. Workout for Water was Les Mills and the UNICEF New Zealand's partnership that came together. This was a juggernaut of a campaign, and gee whiz, their team is incredible there as well. But they created a really, really dynamic campaign that actually reaches global. They utilized ChatGPT to do a lot of translation so the campaign could be global as well. Some really amazing efficiencies that were built into this campaign to make it just absolute cracker. So there's a couple of cool campaigns that are sort of out at the moment. If Built by Raisely is something that you'd be interested in, make sure you head to Built by Raisely as well, and you can see all sorts of different things of what's going on. And we've recently got a new website. And if you do want to check out some of the campaigns that we've been working on, so you can actually go into these spaces and actually preview some of these campaigns yourself as well. So there's some cool stuff that is there. But why don't I duck back into our last point, which is the 1 in 365 opportunity. Now, this one is a must and worth mentioning, only because I'm in Australia and it's tax time coming up, and you very well may be doing your tax appeal. Now, a 1 in 365 opportunity, yes, is that one email that gets sent once a year. Typically, you can always resend it now, which is great, but it's the donation summary receipt. It's that receipt that sends someone, hey, here's all the donations that you have given to us over the year that you can now use for tax time. This email is sent out mid-year in Australia, but in your space, it could be sent out in different times, different timings of the year as well. But the donation summary receipt, it's such an incredible impact to give people something that's really compelling. Some of the things are a big encouragement for you here. Let me just quickly go into Raisely so you can actually see how to do a summary receipt. So if I go back here and I go to messages, donation summaries, now I can go to new donation summary. Now what it looks like, got a couple of new little updates, which I'm a really big fan of, that sort of came with the new email builder as well. But you can configure the settings of your donation summary as well with sort of year range and also which different accounts it came from as well, which is helpful. You got audience, sort of all audience, or specific donors, or you can do a segment as well. And you got the design the PDF receipt, which is great. You can now go in there and design the PDF receipt that comes with this, which is going to be a real helpful thing that they have as well. But the main thing I'd love to see you invest in is this. Now, when you come to this is going to look super plain Jane. There's not much in it. So my first recommendation is this. In rows, make sure you have an email row that is a clean footer. This is really, really significant because it just crystallizes brand trust. So it's really simple. In Raisely, you can just create a row. You can save that row. And that's now a template you can use on all of your messages. So make sure that's in there, all right? Like raising one in there, create your one for your organization, put that row in there. It's a real must. But you can do all sorts of things now, all with this content here to create a donation summary receipt that is off the hook. Some of the things I really encourage you to do is solidify impact. One of the things is show people what you've achieved in a year. Through the donation, what has happened. Second thing is offer a call to action choice. Don't give them one call to action. Give them 2 or 3. Give them the ability to choose what they want to do next with this. And the second one is set up their next interaction with them. What are you advertising next for them? Or even better, maybe what is the maybe invite them to feedback into what you want to be doing with them. Maybe even the next thing is this set up a next interaction was a really important one on my personal journey as a donor. I was with an organization for 4 years as a regular donor with them. Not once over those 4 years did I get a personal interaction that says, hey, what do you want to do next with us? Or, hey, here's some things we've been thinking about. Do any of them are of interest? The only things I got was my receipts every time. I got updates from maybe the project. But that was it. There was nothing personal related to what do I want to do? How do I go deeper with you rather than just giving money? Setting up your next interaction, giving them choice. How often do I want to be interacted with? Maybe I want to be interacted with every month. Great. That's what the mailing list goes on. Set up that next interaction, invite them in as a donor for some choice as well. So really great little thing. 1 in 365-day opportunity. So don't waste it. Look at it, use it in Raisely. It's an absolute game changer and a big encouragement to investing in there. Can you use the footer? Sarah asked a great question. Can you use the footer row template across all campaigns? Do you have to recreate one for each campaign? If you're talking about messages, Sarah, and about how the row template that I just showed in the messages can be used, no, that's the best part. Create it once. It's available in every message that you create in Raisely. You can just drag it over. So a real great time saver when you're creating messages. You create all sorts of different rows, save them as templates, and you can reuse them for different things. Some of the rows I'd recommend are things like social media link rows and all that kind of things that you don't want to have to worry about as well. So all sorts of really cool little things that you can be looking at there. All right, so that is so much about what we've done in growing your appeals. I hope some of that makes sense. I hope some of that is of value. I hope some of those are things that you're like, man, we've missed that. Why don't we apply that into our strategy the next? Some of the things about what's coming up in Raisely is intelligent amounts. If you have not tried out smart donations, it's a great little way to start your campaigns. Smart donations, if you go into your account in Raisely, if I go into my campaign, settings, donation form, here I can adjust intelligent donation amounts. And if I switch that on, I am now going by what Raisely recommends it put in front of people for donations. The reason I love this so much is one, this is only going to get smarter. That's one of the cool parts about it. The second thing that's really cool is this can be a great starting point if you're not sure where your dollar handle should be. Turn it on, run a report a week later, see where your dollar handles landed. Then you can unswitch it and then adjust your dollar handles. And away you go. So really, really great little automatic space to go. That's why it is on default when you create a new campaign, but you can switch it off and take full control over it as well. So really, really cool little feature. New data on dashboards, that's coming soon. That is going to be a game changer for you. You're going to be able to see so many more insights in your campaign in Razorly, nice and quick without relying on other analytical tools. Razorly 4 is in the slow feeder. It is coming bit by bit, and you're going to love it as it comes out. Built by Razorly previews, as I was showing you before. These ones here are going to be great previews of real campaigns that you can dive in, have a look at. You can even look and go over the sign-up experience as well, and also look into logged-in accounts and see all the different profile and dashboard pages as well. So this is going to be a great space for you to be able to see what Razorly really can do as well. So that's getting launched, and also new peer-to-peer template coming out really, really soon. So hope you are looking forward to those new things coming out in Razorly. And don't be shy. If there are some things that you really would love to see Razorly utilize, make sure you reach out. Would love to see you sort of re-speak into Razorly. What do you want as well? If you've got some questions or next steps, go to support.razorly.com. Razorly.com, built by Razorly. If you are looking at some professional services and would like Razorly's thoughts around that, and also make sure you check out our YouTube channel as well for all sorts of content. We'll make sure this webinar is up there for you to look at, and also a bunch of cool other resources to come with that to help you take your appeals further. Apart from that, thanks everyone for joining us today. It's been great that you've been with us. Thank you. We love doing our webinars. They're great spaces for us. And if you do have any questions, make sure you reach out, and we will see you next time. See you guys. Bye. Thanks, George. We'll definitely do more webinars. Thanks, Serena. No dramas at all. Thanks, Kay. You're a ledge. Jennifer, you're brilliant, Josh. Man, you're the best. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Tara. Have a great day. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Virginia. Make sure you're in touch. We'd love to help you build some great space in Razorly. Thanks, Isaac. Thanks, Joe. Enjoy, guys, and have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.